Hello, this is Dr. Gardner. Today we're looking at how we could set up a quadratic formula workbook. Now this is really useful when we're solving for equilibrium concentrations for weak acid or weak base systems. So the first thing we want to do in those cases is, as we've discussed in lecture, set up your ICE tables, determine your concentration of all species at equilibrium with respect to a variable such as x, and then if you rearrange your equilibrium expression to relate to a quadratic equation in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c all equal to 0, we can go ahead and use our quadratic formula that we've all learned in our math courses. Is x is equal to a minus b, where b is the b term here, plus or minus the square root of b squared, again the b term, minus 4ac, where we have our a and c term for our coefficients in front of our x squared and x, as well as our c value in our equation, and then that is all over a 2a. So there's two possible solutions. We're going to set up two equations in our spreadsheet here in Excel for when we have a plus value here or a minus value. So there's two possible x values you would get, and that can relate back then to the concentrations of all the species in solution. Now, once I rearranged my equation from the equilibrium expression into a quadratic form, we can go ahead and solve for the x values, and here for reference I've put in cells for my values of x, b, and c that I would have once I had my equation in the quadratic form. Now I went ahead and I have two x values that I have solved for. You notice one x value in the formula here we have a positive, right? And in one value we have a negative. So I have a positive or negative solution for the quadratic formula. So I've referenced my cell B4, so B4 is the B value, right, plus the square root of cell B4 squared minus 4, and then my A value is in cell B3, and my C value is in cell B5. So I've multiplied those, taken the square root of those. Then I'm dividing everything in the numerator. So I put brackets around the entire formula for the numerator here for my quadratic equation, and I divide that by 2 times the value for A, which remember is in cell B3, right? Then I do the same equation in my second cell here in B8, where I do the same equation. The only thing I've changed is my sign before the square root function is a negative, so I'm getting the positive and negative solutions. Now only one of these will be physically possible, so if I solve for an x value that gives me negative concentrations, or would result in concentrations that were greater than would be possible based on my initial starting concentrations, I could exclude that value, and only one of the two x values would make sense. So here I can't have a negative concentration, so I would have used the value of 6.5 times 10 to the negative 5th molarity, let's say, if my concentration in the ICE table was x. Okay, or I might be subtracting x from initial concentrations to see how much of my weak acid, let's say, would be ionizing. So this is how I set up my quadratic formula workbook. It's a fairly simple workbook, but hopefully you'll find it helpful if you're having any trouble maybe learning for the first time how to enter your formulas. So this is how I would put everything in. The square root function is built into Excel, so it will recognize that. If you're having trouble with this, you might want to contact me directly if you still can't enter the cell formulas, but I hope you found this helpful. Okay, thank you very much. Take care and have a great day.